Hello, and thanks for joining Prism English.
Today, I'll tell you a quiet, beautiful story about Lily, a science student whose life changed when a strange image appeared in her mind. My name is Lily, a sophomore biology major at a sprawling college campus where life is a whirlwind of lectures, lab reports, and endless cups of coffee. My days follow a predictable rhythm. Wake up, rush to class, study until midnight, and dream of a future in medical research. I've always been logical, grounded in science, my path clear. But 4 weeks ago, something strange broke through my routine, like a crack in a carefully built wall. It happened in the campus library, surrounded by towering bookshelves and the soft hum of students studying. I was deep in my genetics notes, preparing for a midterm, when an image flashed in my mind. A vivid sketch of a tree, its branches twisting like veins, glowing under a sky bursting with stars. It wasn't a memory or a picture I'd seen before. It felt like mine. But how could I, someone who hasn't drawn since childhood, conjure something so detailed? The next morning, the image returned, sharper, as I walked across the quad to my chemistry lecture. It wove through my thoughts, drowning out the professor's droning about molecular bonds. At the campus cafe, I grabbed my usual latte and, without thinking, sketched the tree on a napkin. The lines flowed effortlessly, as if my hand knew secrets my mind didn't. My friend Mia, sprawled across from me with her psychology textbook, noticed. "What's that?" she asked, peering at the napkin. I shrugged, cheeks warm. "Just a doodle." She raised an eyebrow. "You don't doodle, Lily." She was right. I'm a science student, not an artist. So why was this image haunting me? Was it stress from exams? A fleeting daydream? Or something deeper stirring inside me? By the third week, the tree was relentless. It appeared when I showered, studied, or tried to sleep, its branches curling in my mind. Other images joined it. Faces with eyes like storms, landscapes of glass cities, abstract shapes pulsing with color. I started carrying a small sketchbook, jotting down these visions whenever they struck. My roommate, Sarah, caught me sketching late one night, my desk lamp casting shadows over the pages. "You're obsessed," she teased, her voice sleepy. "Is this for a class?" I shook my head, my pencil still moving. "I don't know what it is. I've never taken an art class, yet these images felt like they belonged to me, begging to be drawn." I wondered, was I imagining them? Was it the pressure of midterms? Or was something inside me trying to speak, like a voice I'd silenced long ago? One evening, I skipped my study group and wandered to the art building, a place I'd never set foot in before. The halls smelled of paint and turpentine, and I found an empty studio, its walls lined with easels and tables splattered with color. A blank canvas stood in the corner, and I felt a pull, like it was calling me. I picked up a pencil, my hands trembling, and began sketching the tree. The branches twisted, the stars glowed, and the image came alive, more real than anything in my textbooks. A janitor, Mr. Evans, passed by and paused at the door. "That's striking," he said, his voice kind. "You an art major?" I laughed nervously. No, just trying something." He nodded, his eyes warm. "Looks like you've got a story to tell." His words stuck with me. What if these images were mine, a part of me I'd never explored? The next day, I saw a flyer taped to a bulletin board, an art showcase at the student center, open to all students. My heart raced. I'd never shared anything creative, never thought of myself as an artist. But the tree, the faces, the shapes, they pushed me, like they wanted to be seen. I signed up, my hand shaking as I wrote my name. For days, I worked in secret, sneaking into the art room after hours. I borrowed paints and brushes, turning the tree sketch into a full painting. I chose deep greens for the leaves, midnight blues for the sky, and golden stars that seemed to pulse. Each stroke felt instinctive, like the image was guiding me. I asked myself, was I ready? What if I failed? What if this was nothing special? But the canvas felt like a friend, urging me to keep going, to trust the process. As the showcase neared, I confided in Mia over coffee. I'm terrified, I admitted, stirring my latte. What if people think it's weird? She grinned, her eyes bright. You're weird, Lily, and that's why we love you. Show them who you are. Her words gave me courage, but doubt lingered like a shadow. I spent nights in the art room refining the painting, adding details, a shadowy figure standing under the tree, a river winding in the distance. The other images in my sketchbook demanded attention too. I started a second canvas, a portrait of a woman with eyes like storms, her expression both fierce and tender. I didn't know who she was, but she felt real, like someone I'd met in a dream or a memory I couldn't place. The night of the showcase arrived, and the student center buzzed with chatter, music, and the warm glow of string lights. My two canvases stood on easels, the tree glowing under its starry sky, the woman staring out with quiet intensity. My name was called, and my knees trembled as I stepped forward. These are something I've been seeing, I said, my voice shaky. I don't know where they come from, but they feel true. The crowd was silent, their eyes fixed on the paintings. I felt exposed, like I opened my heart to a room full of strangers. Then applause broke out, warm and loud, washing over me like a wave. A girl approached me afterward, her eyes wide. Your work feels alive, she said. Are you an artist? I hesitated, my throat tight. I'm not sure, I replied. But inside, I felt a spark. Braver, more myself than ever before.
After the showcase, the images kept coming, stronger and more vivid. I filled my sketchbook with new scenes, a city of glass towers, a bird with wings of fire, a field of mirrors reflecting endless skies. But the tree remained my anchor, appearing in every vision, its branches a constant thread. I returned to the art room night after night, painting until my hands ached. Mr. Evans, the janitor, became a familiar face, often stopping to watch. "You've got a gift," he said one evening, leaning against the doorframe. "Don't hide it." I nodded, but doubt crept in. Was this a fluke? Could a science student like me be an artist? I asked Sarah, lying on her bed with a textbook, "What if this isn't real?" She laughed, tossing a pillow at me. "It's real if it matters to you, Lily." Weeks passed, and I joined the campus art club, a group of students who painted, sculpted, and shared ideas in a cozy basement studio. There I met Alex, a senior art major with a quiet smile and paint-stained fingers. He flipped through my sketchbook one day, his eyes lingering on the glass city. "How do you come up with this?" he asked, genuinely curious. I admitted, "I don't know. It just happens." He nodded, like he understood. That's how it starts. You're finding your voice." His words stayed with me, like a light in the fog. I started taking an introductory art class, squeezing it into my schedule alongside biology labs. The professor, Dr. Nguyen, noticed my work during a critique session. "Your compositions have emotion," she said, adjusting her glasses. "Have you considered a double major?" I froze, my heart pounding. Science was my path, safe, logical, planned. Art was a leap into the unknown, a risk I wasn't sure I could take. The images didn't stop. One night, I dreamed of the tree again, but this time it stood in a field of mirrors, each one reflecting a different version of its branches. I woke up, grabbed my sketchbook, and drew it, my hands shaking with excitement. I showed it to Alex the next day, and he leaned closer, studying the sketch. "This could be a series," he said. "You're telling a story, Lily." A series? The idea thrilled me, but scared me too. I spent weeks painting the tree in new settings, a desert under a burning sun, an ocean with waves of light, a city woven with stars. Each canvas felt like a chapter, revealing parts of myself I'd never known. I wondered, was this who I was? A scientist and an artist? Or something more? Something I hadn't named yet? Months later, the art club organized a campus-wide exhibition bigger than the Student Center showcase. I submitted 5 paintings, including the tree series and the storm-eyed woman. Setting them up in the exhibition hall, I felt a mix of nerves and pride. The room filled with students, professors, and even locals from town. My paintings drew a crowd, their colors catching the light like beacons. Dr. Nguyen approached me, her smile warm. "Your work has a voice. Keep nurturing it." A stranger, an older woman with kind eyes, stopped by my tree and mirrors painting. "This speaks to me," she said, her voice soft, "like it holds a secret." I smiled, unsure how to respond. Was it a secret? Or was it just me, finally seen by the world? The images slowed after the exhibition, like they'd served their purpose. I flipped through my sketchbook, returned to the art room, waited for new visions. They came less often now, fainter, like echoes. I felt a pang, like losing a part of myself. I asked Alex one afternoon, sitting in the studio with paint on our hands, "What if they're gone for good?" He shrugged, brushing a streak of blue from his cheek. "Maybe they gave you what you needed, a way to find yourself." His words sunk in, heavy and true. I kept painting, joining more exhibitions, each canvas bolder, more confident. I added lyrics to my tree series, turning it into a multimedia project with poetry and soft music I composed on a borrowed guitar. The campus newspaper ran a story about me, calling me the scientist artist, a title that made me laugh but also felt right. A year later, I stood at the art building's annual showcase, now a double major in biology and art. My latest painting, a tree under a sky of comets, hung proudly among others. The images that once haunted me had become my voice, my way of understanding the world. I didn't know where they came from, my heart, my dreams, or somewhere beyond, but they taught me to listen, to trust the unexpected, to embrace the parts of myself I'd never known. I was just a student, chasing grades in a future, but I found a canvas, and it found me. Life on campus went on. Lectures, labs, coffee runs, but I was different now. I carried my sketchbook everywhere, ready for the next image, the next story. The art club became my second home,
a place where I could be both scientist and artist without choosing. Alex and I grew closer, spending late nights in the studio, talking about art, life, and everything in between. He shared his own struggles, doubts about his talent, pressure to succeed after graduation. "You make it look easy," he said once, watching me paint. I laughed. "It's not easy. I'm terrified half the time." But that fear drove me, pushed me to create, to keep going. Mia and Sarah cheered me on, dragging me to open mic nights where I shared my poetry, my voice growing steadier with each performance. Even Mr. Evans, the janitor, became a quiet supporter, slipping me extra paint tubes when supplies ran low. "You're going places, kid," he'd say, his grin wide. One day, Dr. Nguyen pulled me aside after class. "There's a regional art competition next month," she said. "I think you should enter." My stomach twisted. A competition? My work alongside real artists? I hesitated, but her confidence in me was unshakable. I spent weeks preparing, creating a new piece, a massive canvas of the tree, now surrounded by a crowd of figures, each holding a fragment of light. It was my most ambitious work, a reflection of everyone who'd helped me: Mia, Sarah, Alex, Mr. Evans, even Dr. Nguyen. The day of the competition, I stood in the gallery, my painting among dozens. I didn't win, but a judge pulled me aside. "Your work has soul," she said. "Keep going." Her words felt like a prize, bigger than any trophy. The images never fully stopped, but they changed. They came as whispers now, gentle nudges rather than demands. I painted when I could, balancing lab reports with brushstrokes, microscopes with canvases. I started a blog, sharing my art and thoughts, connecting with other students who felt torn between logic and creativity. Messages poured in from strangers, saying my work inspired them to try something new, to take a risk. I realized my paintings weren't just for me. They were for anyone who needed to hear they could be more than one thing. 2 years after that first image in the library, I stood at my own exhibition, a small show in a local gallery. My parents came, surprised but proud, their scientist daughter now an artist too. The tree was there, in every painting, a symbol of growth, of roots and reaching. Alex stood beside me, his own work on display nearby. "You did this," he said, squeezing my hand. I shook my head. "We did this." Mia and Sarah were there too, snapping photos and laughing, calling me famous. Even Mr. Evans showed up, his usual overalls traded for a clean shirt. "Told you," he said, winking. I don't know where the images came from, my heart, my dreams, or somewhere beyond. Maybe they were always there, waiting for me to listen. They taught me to trust myself, to embrace the unexpected, to see beauty in the unknown. I was just a student, chasing grades and a future, but I found a canvas, and it found me. Life isn't about choosing one path. It's about weaving them together, science and art, logic and dreams. Be open, be brave, and let your heart paint the world, even when you don't know the colors.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Prism English. We'll see you next time, where English isn't just learned, it's lived.